So the doctor does what he says. He puts the anesthesia in my IV. He wheels me to the operating room, just like he said. And I have my eyes closed and I'm just waiting for this anesthesia to hit me. And he said that when we got to the operating room, it was going to. But when we got there, I was still fully conscious and fully awake. And I was like, well, should I say something? Like maybe the anesthesia hasn't hit me yet. Like they've done this thousands of times by now. I'm sure it's fine. And I'm laying there and it's kind of like where you know what's going on around you. Even when your eyes are closed, you can just kind of feel it. So I'm in this operating room. I'm on the operating table now. And I feel these doctors, I hear them and I feel them, getting ready for the surgery. And then I hear them confirm, like with one another, are you ready to operate? I'm ready to operate. Let's operate on this kid. And I'm getting nervous at this point because I'm like, well, I'm not under this anesthesia. What's about to happen? Either they're going to cut into me or I've got to say something. But at the same time, I didn't want to say anything. It felt like I almost couldn't, like this was happening exactly how it was supposed to happen. It was the strangest thing. So, as they're inching closer to my elbow with the scalpel, they start to pull back. And I let this, deep exhale of relief, like, oh my gosh, okay, they must know I need more anesthesia. But that wasn't the case. The doctors in the room, their breath sped up, and I felt this energetic shift in the room from, that of let's operate on this kid and get him back on the field to, oh my gosh, like something's seriously wrong here. So it felt like time just stopped. I don't really recall a lot of what happened from them pulling back and me feeling like, oh my gosh, they know I need more anesthesia, to then the feeling of something's wrong. And then the next thing I remember, I heard them say, hurry, we got to save this kid. And then I was just floating above the scene and I watched from above as if there were like a glass panel separating me from my body on the operating table. And I watched my body turn, like a bruise-like purple and then a corpse-like white. And, I watched my heartbeat monitor go from beep, beep, beep to beep, just one complete flat line from above. And, I ended up having an allergic reaction to the anesthesia. Going back to that nurse that asked me the question, I got that pit in my stomach. I was allergic to a component of the anesthesia called Ancef. And my heart stopped on the table. I went into anaphylactic shock. And all of a sudden, I'm in this place. I just watched myself die on the operating table. And I'm in this place that is just the most magical place I could ever have described. But at first I didn't get a lot of time to spend in this place because immediately I was shuttled into this life review. It was like there was a 360-degree panoramic screen where I was the observer of the movie that was playing my life review. It kind of like showed like a movie a little bit. But at the same time, I was in the movie. So I was watching it, but I was also experiencing it at the same time. And, not only was I experiencing it from my own perspective, but I was also experiencing it from the perspective of the others involved in every scene that showed. And, I got to see every moment of my life and experience every moment of my life from the time that I was, my earliest memory playing baseball with myself in the backyard, pretending like I was pitching in, the big leagues against Albert Pujols and, just imagining and dreaming. I got to re-experience those types of memories, but the theme of my life review was not exactly positive, and it wasn't exactly distressing either. It was just kind of a neutral, all-knowing truth of this is the objective view of your life. So I got to see, moments of my life that I wasn't exactly proud of. I battled addiction as a young kid, and I battled having to view my life like I was a part of the first generation that got to experience social media. So I got to see all the time I spent on social media instead of interacting with the people that I cared about and loved. And, I got to re-experience the kind of traumatic things that I had gone through as a kid that I never exactly forgave myself or the others that were involved in. And I got to just see all the time that I wasted and all the kind of potential that I left untapped as a young athlete, where I maybe could have applied myself more. At the end of my life review, it felt like it lasted forever, but at the end of it, I felt this overwhelming regret and this longing for a second chance. I had watched my life from a bird's eye view, and it left me with the question, like, is that it? Like, is that all you did with your life? You wasted all that time, and you have all of these wounds left unhealed, and all of these I love yous and I'm sorry's left unsaid, and you never forgave your family. You never forgave the people that you love and care about. And most importantly, you never forgave yourself. And, at the end of my life review, I was just so angry, and just longing for this second chance, but there was no time left to fix any of it. So, after my life review ended, I was just begging God. I was like, God, please give me a second chance. God, please give me a second chance. Like, I'll do anything for the second chance. And, I didn't hear any response from God. So eventually I just let go. And I was like, you know what? All right. That's the reality of how my life ended. So, I surrendered. Just take me into whatever's next. And as soon as I said the words, I surrender, I was shuttled into this different place, but it was a part of the same thing. And it was the most beautiful, overwhelming, unconditional love I had ever experienced in my life. It was as if I was looking at the outside world from the perspective of the inside of the purest diamond in the universe. It was just this most magnificent place. Time didn't exist in this place. In fact, it felt like me and time were the same thing. It was so overwhelmingly fascinating. And what stood out about this place was that I was supposed to be dead, but I felt more alive than I had ever felt in my entire life. And it felt like my true home. Like when I was shuttled into this place, immediately I just felt like I was home, like I belonged for the first time in my life. And I'm in this place for what feels like an eternity. Time doesn't exist, so I don't exactly know how long I was there. But all of a sudden, this strange figure appears, and it appears in the distance at first, and it appears like a silhouette. And I see this glossy, shiny, bald head, and then I see this beautiful, radiant smile. And I knew that this person was familiar. And suddenly, this person approaches me and passes me a basketball. And as soon as this person passes me the basketball, I recognize the person. It was my stepdad, who had passed away a couple years prior to my near-death experience. And what's interesting about this is the basketball game that we had, played in this place was a recreation of an exact moment that I had just witnessed in my life review moments ago, or eternity ago. I'm not sure, but I had seen this beautiful basketball game in my life review, and I got to replay this basketball game. And it was a special basketball game because my father and mother's relationship ended when I was 8 years old, and it was my relationship with father figures in general was pretty rocky. Mike, my stepdad was his name. He came into the picture when I was a kid, around 12 years old, and he just seemed to be the saving grace of our family. And this basketball game that he had played with me in real life when I was 12 years old, it always stuck with me. It stuck with me throughout the rest of my life because I had never been shown that type of love from a father figure. He was a nurturer and just a caring and genuine person. So now in my near-death experience, I got to replay the same game with him, the game that just meant so much to me. So we play the same game back and forth for what feels like forever. And then all of a sudden after the game, Mike kind of takes a step back and his tone changes. The game was full of loving, competitive, but like not overly egotistical competitive. It was just like a fun competitive environment where it was a bond. But after the game, when he stepped back, his tone changed from that loving kind of energy to more fatherly, like stern, firm. And he was like, all right, he wasn't talking, by the way, like neither of us were talking. We were communicating almost telepathically. We both knew what one another was kind of saying. But if he were able to talk, he would have said something like, all right, let's cut the crap. Like, you're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Let's talk about it. And he said, I've been sent here to offer you something. He said, I know how badly after your life review, you wanted a second chance. He said, I know the regret that you felt and the anger and the disappointment. And I know the longing that you had to do right by yourself, to go make the wrongs right. And then he says to me, I've been sent here to offer you that second chance. But if I do so, the next time you die, you need to make sure you're ready for it. And he said, you have a great purpose to serve, Bubba. And if I grant you this second chance, you need to make sure you serve that purpose and give everything you have to that purpose. And, I didn't want to go back to the life. Like, I was past that at this point. I had surrendered. I was in this beautiful place. I didn't want to go back, but, for whatever reason, it just felt like I had to. It just felt like I had to. So, eventually Mike and I went our separate ways. I thanked him and I said, I love you. And I said, I'll see you soon. And, he vanished, and I was back in this almost like purgatory type place where it felt like I was on the second story of a house, and the floor was made of glass, and I could see what was happening on the first story. And this was my, body on the operating table, and this is where I was on the other side. And I watched as they shot me with the shot that saved my life. And I woke up on the operating table, and immediately I was just in shambles, and I was like throwing punches at the doctors because I had no idea what had happened, and I wanted to go back to this place. And it all happened so fast.